Hello my friends and welcome back. You know what day is it? Can I hear you? You're correct. It's hump day, the spine of the week. That means you survived Monday, you survived Tuesday, and now it's finally hump day. Woo! Yeah. You know what didn't survive the week? The Russian border. It's filled with holes, and the Russian Volunteer Corps Battalion and the Siberian Battalion, which are consisted of Russian citizens fighting with the support of the armed forces of Ukraine, they penetrated into Russia with tanks and armored vehicles yesterday, yes, over the Russian border. And in this video we'll go through everything that I didn't mention yesterday already, so by the end you know all about it. But check this out, you couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, they are hitting Russia with Russia's own weapons. I'll read you the report. The fog of war still hides from us what is happening in the village of Tyotkino, which is a Russian border village with Ukraine, which yesterday the Russian Volunteer Corps actually, let's say, liberated. They control the whole village. Russian border guards ran, and we have footage of it. They're just running across the fields away. They say that Russian troops have left it and the RDK and the LSR fighters are now there. But, for example, such photos are circulating on the Ukrainian Telegram channels. They allegedly depict preparations for, and get this, for a referendum on the succession of the village of Tyotkino, Kursk region from the Russian Federation. That means it's a referendum much like Russia likes to do them, to take 4 Ukrainian oblasts illegally into the Russian Federation. Well, here we have the same weapon against them of Tyotkino, Kursk Oblast, the village, holding a referendum to join Ukraine. Wow, very nice. Of course, take it with a grain of salt. This is memeing, I think. I mean, of course, the Russian Volunteer Corps might be trolling, but in reality they have no such goals to add these areas to Ukraine. Their goal is to liberate Russia from Putin. It wasn't only, like I mentioned yesterday, it wasn't only the Russian Volunteer Corps forces with tanks crossing the Russian border. It was preceded by a massive Ukrainian drone attack on Russian territory, which lasted all throughout even last night, so 2 nights in a row. And also before that there was a massive cyber attack to Kursk region. But to prove all of that, we have many footage of Ukrainian drones hitting pinpoint accuracy their targets. I'll show you the footage later. But also Belgorod, the biggest city 30 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, the biggest Russian city close to the Ukrainian border. They had air raid sirens all night yesterday, so they couldn't really sleep much. Now, my friends, yesterday, immediately after I shot my video, new information came out that I couldn't report. It is the crash of the Russian plane Ilyushin 76. It was a military transport and it had 10 plus officers on board, and it crashed about 600 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, northeast from Moscow. Yes, northeast, so even further north and further from Ukraine. It crashed. Ilyushin 76, you can see it on the screen. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? My friends, it was a bird. Supposedly it was a bird that flew into one of the engines, exploding the engine, and with only one engine the plane slowly went down and crashed onto the field. All the officers on board were KIA. Now, since it was a Russian military transport aircraft and there was only 10 personnel on board, if it was filled with troops there would be tens of them, but it was only 10, we can assume it was officers, so high value Russian officers. My friends, Anton Herashenko gives the truth to us. You know how Russians have been saying almost the last 10 years, ever since the start of the war in 2014, how Ukrainians are making weapons like mosquitoes and pigeons and whatever, weaponized dolphins. Well, there is no point in hiding Ukrainian NATO biolaboratories any longer. As soon we will launch combat mosquitoes. Yes, since this was a bird and it literally translated into deceased Russian officers, I'm sure Russian propaganda will get a lot of food from this, accusing Ukraine in training that very bird. You know, Budanov training it for a year. Good bird, take my treat. Good bird, now go and fly. Free Ukraine, and flies into the engine of the Ilyushin 76, taking 12 officers with him. Nice bird. Slava Ukraini, Ukrainian hero. Now, when I finished my yesterday's video shooting, another drone hit another oil refinery in Russia. And my friends, you might be saying, oh, oil refinery hit, so boring, repetitive, every day. My friends, most of Russian money to its budget and there directly to the military budget comes from exporting oil and gas. Now, Russia has about 40, somewhere in that ballpark, oil refineries all across the country. And the majority of them are on our side of the Urals, so the European side of the Urals, all in the range of Ukrainian drones. Now, Ukraine has been focusing down on Russian oil refineries. And yesterday, they hit a refinery in Ryazan 3 times, 3 drones, and all of the hits are recorded by people around the refinery, just filming the drone, pinpointing to the oil refining tower. Insane accuracy, and there's no denying, the Russian Minister of Defense might say, oh, we shot down the drones, but there's a video of the drone very directly connecting to the oil refining tower. So if they shot the drone down with their own refinery, then yes, they're correct. They demilitarized the drone or intercepted the drone with their own refining tower. The thing is, this is the Russia's 3rd biggest oil refinery in Ryazan. It was at least, and it contributed 10% of the total Russian oil refining capabilities. And it's out of work right now, and fixing those refineries, it takes a lot of time. And by the way, most of them are built with Western technologies and Western software. It's all Western built, Western money all over that place. Now, that means Russia cannot really fix them very quickly, since they haven't been able to replace these capabilities of building oil refineries that the West built before. So these hits are devastating. It's not like they can repair them anytime soon. 10% of Russian oil exports, meaning 10% of the military budget that comes from oil refining capabilities, is gone. Poof, just like that, with 3 cheap Ukrainian drones. Beautiful. And just to give you a context, this is the map, right? This is Ukraine and this is Ryazan oil refinery. It's closer to Moscow than to Ukraine. So the 3 drones actually flew with impunity over hundreds of kilometers of the Russian land without any interception, because Russia doesn't have enough air defenses to defend such a huge area. Again, Russia's biggest strength, its size, is also its biggest weakness, because you cannot defend such a huge country with air defense. My friends, but I cannot only give you strawberries and roses. Russian Volunteer Corps crossed the border, and all these oil refineries, everything is connected to it. It's all part of this huge offensive action by Ukraine and the Volunteer Corps. They are also taking losses. Of course, Russians abandoned their positions, and there's a lot of videos of destroyed Russian equipment, but there's also videos of destroyed Russian Volunteer Corps equipment. On this video, you can see a Russian tank, which is operated by Russian Volunteer Corps, supported by you. It gets complicated. Well, it's a captured Russian tank under the operation of Russian Volunteer Corps with the support of armed forces of Ukraine. Well, the point is, it's destroyed in this video, and it's the border checkpoint in Kursk, meaning they are taking losses. No military operation, offensive operation, goes without losses. So I'll give you both sides. I'm not ignoring the losses here. And again, to give you a brute map overview so we all know where and what is happening, then this is Belgorod. Kharkiv is down here somewhere, and we can see the ground offensive operation of the Russian Volunteer Corps happened from 3 axes. One to Kursk region right here, and 2 of them to Belgorod from 2 different areas. They all penetrated through the Russian first defenses of the border checkpoints. Russians abandoned their positions, and fighting is usually happening right now 5 to 10 kilometers into the Russian territory. Now, I've said it many times before, I'll say it again, that this is not a long-term occupational force on the Russian territory. This is a hit-and-run tactic, only it's not hit and run immediately. It's hit, linger about 1 to 2 weeks, run back. What does it do? As I said many times before, Russia is forced, well, because on the 17th of March, presidential elections are coming up, Putin is forced to send too big of a force, bigger than a force that he would want to send into the area to push back this hit and run guerrilla tactic warfare. That means Ukrainians are able to make Russians react and send armies or forces into the wrong areas. That means the initiative there is on the Ukrainian hands. That means the Russians will have to take risks they don't want to take, and moving huge amount of troops and equipment takes a lot of resources and time, and it takes these troops and equipment out of some other fronts. So this hit and run, although not going to last very long, is incredibly effective and cheap for the Ukrainians and expensive for the Russians. That's the goal of this. My friends, a week ago, Ukrainians hit Russian plane hangar in Taurus Air Base, where supposedly the Russians are repairing A-50s. Yes, the A-50 AWACS, that they only have a few of them, like the highest value targets. Now, we don't have any confirmations because the only satellite image we saw was a hangar being hit from the roof. So we don't know what's inside. But now we have information coming from inside of the Russian Ministry of Defense that these hangars had 2 A-50 airframes in them. Now, both of these supposedly were not flight capable, so they were used for spare parts. But since Russia cannot produce working A-50s or the spare parts for this plane, the only ones they have are the spare part planes or the old planes, then destroying those is also very important. So supposedly, the potential is that 2 old A-50 airframes and the spare parts in them are heavily damaged now. Huge loss for the Russians again. Unfortunately, cannot confirm this. My friends, Russian Ministry of Defense very casually published a list of dangerous personnel in Baltic states. The whole list is published and I will open it and read it to you. There's Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, 3 Baltic countries, and the 5-6 last names are Estonian, and I know all of these guys, all of them. Of course, there are Lauri Hussar, Kaja Kallas, Jüri Ratas. 2 of them are prime minister, like one of them was a prime minister, one of them is now prime minister, Kaja Kallas. So basically, they are in the list of the Russian Ministry of Defense as the most anti-Russian person in the Baltic states and the most dangerous person to Russia. So if anything happens to these people, we know that they have been in one list of the Ministry of Defense already. And since Putin is steering Russia back into the Stalin era of NKVD lists where how people got killed. So if anything happens, we know who did it. Now, my friends, we'll jump away from Ukraine and Russia a bit and to Germany. Yes, Olaf Scholz has been very adamantly against sending Taurus to Ukraine and even sending Taurus to United Kingdom. The country, UK, offered that they could send their Storm Shadows to Ukraine if Germany would be willing to replace their stocks with Taurus missiles. And Scholz again said, no, nein. I don't want to move Taurus missiles anywhere away from Germany. Well, today, Germany has decided to put all of its long-range Taurus missiles on combat readiness. Supposedly, the German army has about 600 of such missiles, but only half of them are currently ready for use. And if you look at the photo, this is a beast. It's a beast of a missile, huge. The warhead of this missile is the biggest of any Western missiles made in the EU, bigger than Storm Shadow. This is why everybody focuses on them as the potential weapon to destroy the Crimean Bridge or the Kerch Bridge, because it's a massive concrete structure and you need a lot of firepower to destroy this. And with Storm Shadow, it would be an issue. With Taurus, not so much. Well, now they're being put on combat readiness. We don't know why, we don't know what's behind it, but I like it. My friends, now a little bit of sad news for it, and I promise after that I'll bring you happy news again. I want you to leave the video happy and smiling. That is very important, but I cannot ignore this. Russia shot out a missile costing 5 million and it hit a residential apartment building in krivy, Rehi, Ukrainian borderline city. The apartment building was destroyed, and it's one of the deadliest Russian attacks against Ukrainian civilians because there are casualties who got killed, 48 as of now, and they're adding to that every day. So it might go up to 50, and 10 of them are children. So this is what Russia uses its oil money oil export money, 5 million, to make that missile and to shoot it just into a civilian apartment building. Why? This makes me sad, it makes me angry, it makes me focused on aiding Ukraine. This could be Estonia. It will be Estonia if Ukraine would lose, but they will not lose. I will do everything in my power, and I know you will also. Alright, my friends, I delivered you the darkest news of the day, and now to give you back up before you go to work or go home from work, I want you to leave happy. So we go to Poland. Poland will have 1,000 cruise missiles. This is insane. I've spoken many times about how Poland is militarizing because they lost 25% of their entire population in World War II. They were divided up by Germany and the Soviet Union by the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. With that memory, that experience, I don't blame them for militarizing the hell out of their country. I would also, if I would have the money. Estonia is, of course, a lot smaller and not that rich. But I'm glad Poland is doing it. Big respect, big balls. The United States Department just issued its permission for Poland to buy 825 new JASSM extended range, 900 kilometer range cruise missiles. After the purchase, Poland will have more than 1,000 cruise missiles, the most of all European states. Now, what is the JASSM or JASSM cruise missile? I'm glad you asked, because this is a beast. It is insane. I'll read you some information about it. The JASSM, or Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile, is a low-detection standoff air-launched cruise missile developed by Lockheed Martin for the United States forces. It is a large, stealthy, long-range weapon with a 1,000-pound or 450-kilogram armor-piercing warhead. 450 kilograms! It doesn't even matter if it's armor-piercing or not. That amount of explosives will pierce any armor. There's no armor that can withstand that amount of explosives. 400, insane. It completed testing and entered service with the US Air Force in 2009 and has entered foreign service in Australia, Finland and Poland as of 2014. And now Poland will buy 800 more of them. This is insane, and Poland is only 800 kilometers from where I'm located right now, which is like 400 miles. It's very close. I'm glad they have them. They also cover Estonia. They cover St. Petersburg. They cover almost Moscow, the range of them. So if Russia tries anything, these 450 kilograms per missile will be pounding away in their rear areas, penetrating deep. This was intentional. You thought Poland is done? Well, they're not done. It gets even better. Poland will receive $2 billion United States dollars preferential loan and an offer to buy 96 Apache H-64E attack helicopters. 96 helicopters, along with radars and various missiles. The helicopters will cost around 10 billion United States dollars. Now Poland will have 1,000 missiles. They're buying K2 tanks from Korea and Abrams tanks from the United States. They're buying Apaches from the United States. They are buying every good weapon system by the Western or NATO allies there is. So by the end of this decade, Poland will have the military arsenal to not only defend against Russia, but to take Moscow if they wish to. And my friends, the good news continue, because I need to leave you with a smiling face. Otherwise, you cannot live your lives. You need to feel happy, even when watching this war. While waiting for Congress to approve a larger package for the whole year, the United States government managed to find some unanticipated savings from Pentagon contracts to send $300 million worth of equipment to Ukraine. This comes at a crucial time after almost 3 months without American military aid packages. Now, yes, you heard correctly. There has been a pause and everybody has been pointing fingers to the United States, which is wrong. I would just say thank you to the United States for what they have done, and we in Europe need to protect ourselves. But now they're back. They're sending another 300 million military aid package, which includes HIMARS munitions, M270 platform munitions, cluster munitions, spare parts, shells. It includes everything that Ukraine needs the most. And this is such a gift in such a difficult time for Ukraine. And I'll just open up a little bit more about the cluster munition that they will send with this packet. They can be launched from M270 platform and HIMARS platform. The cost per missile is about 1 million, and it's a cluster warhead. It explodes a little bit above the ground, and you have seen those drone footages when they scatter across a certain area, saturating that area and everything in it with small flying particles, rendering everything in that area into red mist, demilitarizing the occupiers. Very effective weapon. Ukraine will receive more of them. And you can see the blast illustrations right here. Beautiful, my friends, beautiful. And if you're from the United States, thank you. Thank you. This comes at a very, very necessary time. My friends, now a little surprise to the end of the video. Last month, my Patreon page was deleted. It was such a hit for me, and I hate to admit the fact that I was really hurt by it. It was done by the Russian information attack, bot reporting attack against my page, and the reason why I deleted my page was hate speech, because I called the Russians the occupiers and sometimes even orcs. So it's in the United States, politically correct world, it's hate speech. I didn't know this. So they deleted and eliminated 60% of my whole income. And, you know, having think about what you make every month and take 60% away from it, how would you feel? So I went to buy me a coffee, and thanks to you guys, you reacted, you went to buy me a coffee also and signed up. It's basically Patreon, but better. It's buy me a coffee, and they don't operate in Russia. So they're pro-Western. I'm at the right platform now. I will continue butchering the names. I know many of you want to hear this, and I've been holding back for 2 to 3 weeks now because I want to make sure that this platform is safe. Of course, I can never be sure to the very end, but I feel secure enough to continue with the name butchering. I have 10 new names for you who signed up for Buy Me a Coffee, and everyone who signs up as a member, the link is in the description below, I'll butcher your names. Let's go, my friends. Oh, I've been waiting for this. Kari Taylor, David Thompson, G. Alexander Nix, Philip Kelly Lenz, Alan M. Ogilvie, Peter Str. Oslaskjer, David Bradley Pluckwelder. Thank you to these 10 people. Thank you so much to each and everyone who has gone to Buy Me a Coffee page. You have given me back my security, my structure on which I build my work. I can focus my energy, I can smile to you in a video because there are things I don't have to worry about, which is my income, and you guys have made it possible. Now I have to say this disclaimer that Buy Me a Coffee funds will not be used for Ukrainian aid, they are personal income. My friends, until the next video, please do come back. And about 50% of you have not been subscribed. I just looked at my statistics, and you guys are sneaky. Half of you don't subscribe. I didn't know this. I just found this out. So press the subscribe because, yeah, you get the notification. Also press the bell button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.